Okay, so now that we have our FTP server up and running, let's see how we can access those files and folders. I'm on a virtual machine right now, and the FTP server is functioning on my physical device. So I'm going to show you two methods to get in, and the first method is your graphical method. So I'm going to use good old File Explorer. I'm going to open that guy up. And in File Explorer, in the address bar, right, I'm going to do FTP colon. Right, now notice the IP that popped up, because I've done this before as a test just so it doesn't goof up. Right, it's an IP address. That's what I need. I either need the name of the device, or I need the IP. IP is much more reliable since I don't know if there's an entry in the DNS for this IP address. And notice the syntax, 2 double slashes, boom, and then 192.168.1.38. Now I would have to know that IP. I'd have to get it from the user who's hosting the FTP service, do an IP config if it were my own, that kind of thing. I know it. That's what it is. So I enter, and then it asks me for authentication. So I'm going to use the user, right? FTP user. Notice the box down at the bottom. Log in anonymously. If I try that, it won't work because when I set up the FTP server, I set it up to not allow anonymous logins. So I can't use that box. Give it the password. And there we go. Let it build. And notice there it is. It opens up and there are 2 files in there. Now note, it says the internet, right? It is technically not the internet. It is an intranet, right? Internal network. But there are 2 files. Now if I want to open those files or change them or do whatever, I just double click on the file. Come on, you. It's going to take a little while. There it goes. Opens the text file, shows me what the content is, right? Just like it were a real thing. It's asking me for my FTP user. Oh, missed a P. Now, had I remembered the, yes, ask me later. Had I remembered the, God, it's just being a bugger. There we are. And I told it to remember the password. It would have cached that and allowed me to see it. So in this case, it's showing me the text file inside IE, an Internet Explorer browser window. Why? Because it thinks it's from the internet. So one downside to that, right? If I want to create a new file, I can do, new, and create a folder. Boom. There we go. Create a folder in there. If I want to create a file, I can't do it directly like I would normally. Notice when I do new, all I get is folder. What I'd have to do is drag and drop files in there, right? So there are some limitations and differences between this and a normal file folder. Keep that in mind. So I'm going to close that up, and I'll show you method number 2. Method number 2 is a command line method. So let me open up the command prompt. All right. So inside command line, there is an FTP client. Now bear in mind, we're dealing with servers now. So even though this is a peer-to-peer network that I'm on, right? No one device is more important than the other. It is behaving as if it is a client-server network. Why? Because one of the devices has a service running on it. It's acting as if it's the server, right? So we need authentications, but again, those authentications are local authentications, local to the device that's hosting the service, right? So there are some elements of a client and server relationship built into these peer-to-peer connections. Right? We'll talk more about client-server later. So to launch FTP, I have an FTP client. I need an application that knows how to speak the file transfer protocol language. Right? FTP is open, and now I have to do, well, let me do this. Help is your best friend in FTP if you've never used it before. A nice little refresher, and you'll notice one of the commands is QRST, there it is, open, right? So I want to open a connection. So I'm going to do open. And again, just like the File Explorer method, I want to do an IP address. Boom. It says, all right, great. The open command was successful, right? What's the username? and then what's the password? And boom, user logged in. So now, just like command prompt, dir works. So I can see the directory. It's not as pretty as my file explorer, but lo and behold, there's the 3 files that I dealt with. Well, 2 files in a folder. So demo text, results text, and help, right? Now, one thing to keep in mind, when I'm uploading or downloading files in the command line, notice that the command prompt has changed to FTP. Well, I now have a remote directory, something on the FTP folder or server, and a local directory. The local directory I'm in is whatever was there when I entered the FTP command. So users level 1, that's the local directory I'm in. That may not be where I want to store files. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do local cd. So local change directory. And I'll say I want to change to the temp folder, if I can spell it right. I'm going to change the local directory where I'm downloading files to ctemp. It says, okay, local directory is now ctemp. So now a couple commands. If I want to get a file from my FTP server and put it on my virtual, I'm going to use the get command, and I need to know the name of the file. So I'm going to get demo.txt. Boom, transfer complete, it's there. Now to check, let's see. I'm going to open up File Explorer. Again, this is on my virtual. I'm going to go to the C drive, and inside temp, there's my demo.txt file. So I've downloaded it, right? Okay, so let me create a new file. And let me do text document. Let me call. So now I have a file called upload.txt. Now, just to make sure you understand, file extension. So it's a .txt. In FTP, I need to explicitly state the files or give the file extension. Upload won't work. I need upload.txt. So to upload a file, instead of getting one, I'm going to put one. So put upload.txt. Right? Transfer complete. Right? So if I would go to my FTP site and look at the directory, I now see upload.txt. Right? So I've successfully put there. If I want to change to that help folder, it's the change directory command just like it is on command prompt. Right? So now if I do a put, right, transfer complete, and do a directory, I am now looking at the help directory, right? And inside the help directory, right, is upload.txt. So navigating between command in the command prompt, navigating between folders, very similar to just plain old command prompt, right? Local directory is the only difference. Remember, we're not working on our machine, we're working on a host. So there's a difference between the local machines folders and the remote machines. But that's it. There's FTP clients in both File Explorer and command line. I'm an old school guy. I like the command line. I think it works a little bit easier. If you have any questions, you know where I am.